Hi, Not Board Gamers, and welcome back to Not Board Gaming. I'm your host, I'm Mark. Now, before we jump into the video about Uprising Titans of the First Age, I want to tell you about a very, very special giveaway. The link will be in the description below for a Google Forms to fill in, and my very good friends at Nemesis Games have agreed to give a full all-in pledge worth about £400 of Uprising, Curse of the Last Emperor and Titans of the First Age. Now, a couple of caveats here. First of all, you have to be either in the continental United States, you have to be in the UK, or you have to be in Europe to be eligible for this. And secondly, there's going to be some questions in the Google Docs below, and the answers will be detailed in the video herein, so you're going to have to watch the video as well. Once you watch the video, fill in the Google Docs form, and if you live in the UK, the United States, or in Europe, you could be the lucky recipient of an all-in pledge for Uprising, Curse of the Last Emperor, as I say, worth about £400. So, follow the link in the description, enter the competition, good luck to everybody, and now here's my conversation with Cornelius Cremin about Uprising, Titans of the First Age, the new expansion stuff that's coming for Uprising, Curse of the Last Emperor. Hi, Not Board Gamers, and welcome back to Not Board Gaming. I'm your host, I'm Mark, and do I have a treat for you today? As you will know if you see my videos, one of my favourite games that's been released in the last year or so was, of course, Uprising, Curse of the Last Emperor, coming to us from Nemesis Games. Well, they're coming out with a new expansion. I know, absolutely fantastic. And the expansion is called Titans of the First Age. Now, the aim of the video today was to do a playthrough with Cornelius, who's one of the designers, but unfortunately, Tabletop Simulator is not being our friend today. So Cornelius is going to go through it, share his screen on Skype, so we can have a look at everything that's new in Uprising, Curse of the Last Emperor. Cornelius, hello.
Hello, Mark. Thank you very much for having me.
No, thank you for coming on. It's not a TV show, but thank you for being a guest on this and
True, I'm not there.
and allowing me the option to have a look at, of course, this brand new expansion for Uprising. Really, really excited about this. I absolutely loved Uprising. So, tell me a little bit about Titans of the First Age.
So we had spent, as you probably remember, about 4 or 5 years just developing Uprising. And then we spent the last year and a half manufacturing it and delivering it. And we had so many ideas that we had kept a hold of and thought like, oh, wouldn't this be great? And they just kept bubbling out of us. So as we finished production, we just started designing the next expansion.
Okay.
And we'd also had such a good experience with our community. We were pretty certain folks would want to have some more stuff. So we first took the ideas that we had, and then we took the big things that we heard from the community about, ooh, it's a little too random, a little too dicey, or I wish there was some more variety in the bad guys. And we thought, okay, we can put these two things together. And so we created an expansion that has two much more different factions than the last ones.
Okay.
We upgraded the druid cards and gave them a new resource that gives players the power to re-roll their dice so they don't suffer instant and total death. We added some mercenaries so that all the factions have a lot more variety. We added some Banes, which are tokens that go on the hordes and legions and make them more full of variety.
Excellent.
And we even have new dice because we heard, and this is, I think, maybe where we didn't listen the right way. People said there's too many dice, and we're like, all right, let's have some more dice.
And I've got the extra dice pack as well. It is a lot of dice that you have for this game, that's for sure. But there are certain parts of combat where you'd be surprised just how many bloody dice you are rolling, and they can be brutal. Are the new dice as brutal as the old dice?
Well, no, they're actually probably quite friendly if they're on your side. I can pull a couple out here. We've got the gold die,
okay,
the silver die, and the bronze die.
Okay.
Just zoom right in on this bronze die right here. So the bronze die is the easiest one to get, and it's got 3 blanks and 3 sides with double symbols.
Okay.
So if you remember the white die, which has got only a single face with double symbols, this is like a super powered version of that.
Okay.
And you find it very often with mercenary units. Then we have the silver die, which is the king of defensive dice. It's got a shield, a star, which I have to tell you about, one blank only, a skull shield, and then the mighty double shield over here.
Yay! That's what we like. Yeah.
The
So
star, you could probably predict what it does, right?
now, go tell me. Go on.
It's a wild card.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, you can use it as a
shield,
a skull, a bolt, but you can even use it as a blank, which works for some of the items in the game.
Okay.
Yeah. So with these two, of course, we get to the top of the line, which is the gold die, which is, shield, star.
Yeah.
More star. And then we head towards the big bad stuff. You can
wow.
Get, one of each on this one.
That's amazing.
And, in fact, yeah, it has no blanks at all.
Wow.
It's also very hard to get. So I don't think they're quite as mean if you're rolling them. Like, there's fewer blanks.
But do the new nemesis roll them? The new bad guys, can they get access to these dice?
The new baddies, yeah. In fact, some of them do have it. We have a little bit of a surprise for folks. There's a. Let's see if I can find some of the bad guys in here. I'll just hit the search button. No. Well, maybe they're hiding from us right now. There's a couple bad guys with them. Oh, looks like they're hiding out. We could find them later, but
okay.
Maybe it's a surprise when you open the box. You'll find some of the bad guys have these dice.
Oh.
And when they get a star, we treat that as a shield bolt, which means that they can do like extra nasty things to you.
Fantastic.
But it's a little bit easier for the players to get it.
Okay. Cool. So, in terms of those die, the players can get it. Some of the bad guys can get them, and if you do get them, they are pretty good. So, I take it, is that new? Is it new factions that get access to these dice, or does it come from the druid cards, or how do they work? How do you get the gold?
God, I want to answer yes to everything, but let me let me take you to the mercenaries right here.
Okay. Yep.
So. Folks said, we need more variety in our factions, and they're all very well balanced. We did the core game, a perfectly balanced game, we think, and then the 4 expansion factions we think are also superbly balanced. So rather than start adding units to individual factions, we came up with the mercs, and we have 13 of them because we think that's a great number.
Okay.
And these appear on sea towers. Let me show you a little merc token right here. When you explore a sea tower, you find out what mercenary is there on the sea tower.
Okay.
And you can hire them immediately for their cost. I don't know if you can see their cost, but they all have different cost in food.
Food, yeah.
Or this is ether, a new resource, salts, or plunder.
Right, okay.
And when you buy them, you can just put them with your units or on a blank hex.
Yeah.
And you have access to these guys with their new dice and their new abilities. And when they die, not that you would ever willingly sacrifice them, they go to the graveyard and they count as their own faction.
Oh, okay.
So they're very high powered, but they also give 2 victory points to Chaos or the Empire.
Wow.
So if you use them too many times, you could end up with up to 8 VP in the hands.
Yeah.
But generally you protect them because they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
If you have bad archery, you can go in and take a really cool archer unit, right? The Hill Giant lets you pay food to reroll your yellow dice, which,
nice.
If you're a fan of the Crow, that means he can encourage them by kicking them in the butts to fight harder. Just eat enough food to keep him angry. And then Swamp Terror ignores marshes and doubles your red dice.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fun stuff there.
Okay, and then we've got these guys here. So the die with the stars on it, they are the new die. I take it there. We have the gold and the bronze there for these guys. Is that right?
Correct. That is absolutely correct. Do we have a silver die? Oh, the wild one's got black.
There we go. Yeah.
The Yotzal. This particular monster only lives on ice wastes, but he's an archer because he breaks through the ice.
Brilliant. Like it.
Let's see if he stays that powerful. He's very powerful. Yeah, and so with this, you have, probably a squaring of the amount of variety you could have.
Yeah.
With your army.
Okay. And where did the idea come from for these mercenaries then? How did that come about?
I think it was originally quite thematic. We just loved the idea of new units and new standees.
Yeah.
A big part of Uprising for us has been the art. When we first started designing it, we were, going through the internet, looking at cool images, trying to find out exactly what this world looks like.
Yeah.
And the more images we collected, the more we're like, all right, we know what it's going to look like. This grimdark world. It's got some low fantasy elements, and it's got a bit of high fantasy elements, and we really just wanted to have more fantasy races in the game. We have this guy, the Drakes of Shan. They're a flying dragon creature with a big howdah on the back, and we just wanted to see these things. So, I think it was honestly an aesthetic choice, but it also was something that people wanted to see. Was let's have a bit more stuff.
Sure.
But of course, we also have more factions. Do you want to see those too?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look at the new factions.
All right. Let's see if I can drive us around TTS here. I'll be this guy, and I'll put out the pirates first.
Okay. Dang,
so they might take a minute to load here. Can you see that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Alrighty. So the pirates don't have havens. That's the biggest difference. They have ships, ships. And these act like havens, but you can sail them around the map with the sail action. They now have a new action. They don't have a haven action. They actually just build their blade ships as if they were units.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But you can combine the sail action to raid, which is a really cool thing they have. They can use their ships as bridges. They have naval transportation. So you can put units along your ship bridges. Yeah, you can attack anywhere you have your ships connected.
Wow. And can you chain them together then? Can you have the... Yeah, wow. That's really powerful.
Yep. It is, except they don't have that many units.
So no.
They only have 4 raiders, these little guys.
Yeah.
And I think one of our favorite pieces of art, the shark scald.
Look at him. He's great.
You can see he's a really happy shark. He's been working out, and he also got a rock band. Yeah. And their units are pretty cheap, but they don't last very long because they're not very unit focused.
Okay.
Except they have a special power of mercenaries. Can I zoom in on that? Yeah. You start with 3 mercenaries and pick one, and that just becomes part of your unit roster. And then if you pick up more mercenaries, you don't have to discard the card like normal factions. You can actually keep the card and rebuild them later.
Oh, wow.
So as the pirates play, they actually build up their forces depending on which mercenaries are available, which sea towers. Yep. Another fun thing about their combat style is their blade ships provide artillery support from adjacent hexes. So you spend a bit of time moving your ships around to try and surround the legions and hordes so you can get a few extra white dice in archery, because they naturally don't have any archers themselves. They have their blade ships. So they're a really movement heavy race.
Yeah.
The core 4 races and the 4 expansion races have different movement styles and attack styles, but they still tend to spread out from one center point and drop a hammer. These guys like to quickly surround something and make lightning strikes and then get away as fast as they can.
But obviously, as you say, they've got a reduced number of kind of units there as well. So you've got to be careful, I take it, in how you use it. If you go in too aggressive, you can literally wipe out all your units in one fell swoop there.
That is absolutely accurate, and that happens to me all the time because I have never found a blank I couldn't roll. We have 2 new heroes for them. We've got Avend, and we've got Zaidine. She's the queen. She has in her feat deck the power to let's see, can I find her nice feat? Yeah, she can bring mercs back.
Okay.
Some of the standard things in there. Smuggler's Guild. And she can also, where is it? There it is. She can double her mercenaries dice. If you have 3 mercenaries, it means you could be rolling, 8 dice very easily, and they're all going to be bronzes and stuff.
Wow. And
then Avon has, I think, one of our absolute favorite cards, Shoot First. Because we all know who shot first.
Was it Hannah or was it Greedo? Yeah.
I think we know. It's a good shibboleth, right? And then he's got another really, really fun feat. capture a die from one of his rolls and put it on this card. So if you roll 2 extra bolts during a quest and you don't need it, you can save it and use it later in a combat.
Oh, that's nice. I mean, that would have come in handy in some of the games I played with the base game and what have you. So I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm. It's really fun to hold that die and you're doing all this strategizing with like, I'm going to do this quest and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And he's really, they're both really quite fun. Zaidine has a bit more punching power, but Avon can finesse and cheat his way to victory. Yeah, and so this is, a bit like the Hokan, the cat people who like to jump around the map. These guys are even faster.
Right.
And they actually have even less units. And so I wouldn't say they're a variant of them. They play very differently because their havens move and their havens are very easily attacked.
Okay.
And they have like kind of different archery styles, but they have a new action type.
Yep.
Yeah, and they have this strong interaction with mercenaries. They also have a unique hex. This hex is targeted by the Empire. They don't target any of the blade shifts, so they'll only target this hex.
Right.
And if Imperial or Chaos units destroy it,
nope, it drops through the table. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we will have a phantom hex for people that back the game, and they even have their own special hex. By the way, they have a feat that lets them summon the Undernest. This is not our art, by the way.
Right.
It's just a placeholder art. So whoever did that art, we love your art. It's just being captured here for a moment. So those are the pirates. And
okay.
They, they're sneaky and they play a different game from everyone else. They don't play on the map in the same way because they like Ice Waste only because blade ships can only go on Ice Waste. Yeah.
Oh, you almost got your hex almost came back then.
Oh, yeah. Can I get it? You gotta magically get it. Oh,
there we go.
Yep. Yeah, once you lose your home hex is gone.
Right.
They're from the Nethersea, these pirates, and they only have limited access to our world.
Right.
Can I show you the next one?
Yeah, I was just going to say, show me the next one now, yep.
All right, I gotta change color here. Go to blue. I'm kind of blowing through this real fast. I don't know if you have any questions about.
No, I'm just thoroughly enjoying looking at the new factions at the moment. So we'll have a look at the gameplay. Obviously, we'll talk about the gameplay when it happens. But yeah, I'm looking at the enjoying the new factions.
If you remember, we printed a print and play campaign for players, and the backstory we got to meet one of the Hokan, Azir, and he met a few of the other heroes. And they were working with the druids to reawaken two of the old gods. And those old gods are now playable factions.
Excellent.
Yeah, they are the titans of the First Age right here.
Look at them. Wow.
That's the Mother of Night.
Okay.
And this is the Father of Thunder. Yeah, and they play basically a lot like a horde. They have threat.
So
and you buy your threat up with resources or victory points.
Yeah.
And you're both a hero and a unit, and you're even a haven when you have some threats. You can get targeted by things, and things that affect havens can affect you. And you can see these guys also right here. The Father of Thunder has bronze dice at every level.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the strongest archery, but he has a wonderful amount of striking power in clash.
Yeah, look at that. That is, I mean, getting that bronze dice from the get-go is really, really important, isn't it? So,
and you can also see at the very bottom, he gives 5 points to the enemy when he is destroyed.
Okay.
And it also says you have to discard your Banes because both the old gods, both of the Titans, can steal the Banes of the hordes and legions when they destroy them, both in different ways. And the more of them they kill, the more power they get.
Okay.
So it's quite fun with these guys. You can really snowball, or you can crash horribly.
And which way do you generally go then with them? Are you...
when I play the Mother of Night, I usually do very well. I really prefer archery.
Yeah. Oh, so she
And she
gets.
has really strong archery and some really strong archery feats.
Yeah, I mean, she gets
Um,
silver die when we get up to kind of threat forward, doesn't she?
mhm,
There, so yeah, yeah.
yep. And they all have 5 starting attributes and no attribute increase cards. So that actually means that um, their deck is only feats that give you an ability.
Oh,
So
okay.
she can remove ether. Do, do, do. Oh yeah, devour. I should talk about their actions. You want to hear about their actions before I
Yeah,
go down the feats?
yeah, and let's talk about ether as well because that's a new thing, isn't it? Ether.
Yeah. So ether hides here on the druids. Let me sort of give you a brief overview. People didn't love that one bad roll at the beginning could really like ruin your game.
Yep.
We have play tested quite a bit, and we know that it's always possible to recover, but it is a bit depressing if it's your first game.
Yeah.
So we thought, okay, let's put in something that will give people at least one way out. And we thought that the druids were the place to put it.
Okay. Yeah.
And so each druid has a different method of generating ether. They are always tests to see how behind you are, basically, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so depending on the druid you get, you're going to have different chances to get ether. So you could generate up to 4 ether in a refresh phase, because you do it instead of revealing a druid, all the druids come revealed, because that also seemed to be a thing. Like, do we need that step? I don't know. It's just fun if people can see the art.
Yep.
Yeah, and so we tried to sort of balance out some of the druids that had a slightly more of an edge on their powers to have slightly harder ether activations.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you can also see this fabulous art. One of the things that we really, really liked about this grimdark world was the idea that the old gods are not really like a friendly bunch of gods. And it was, I think, best represented artistically. And these things are just weird. And we asked our artists to make them as weird as they could. And we think they're pretty weird.
They they're not exactly, something you'd see walking down the high street, are they? So
you definitely call the cops. I would say the tree mother looks very nice. She has remained the one nice goddess.
So in terms of the kind of revised druid cards, then obviously they can be incorporated into anybody that's got the base game. I take it. Is there going to be like an upgrade pack if people want to just upgrade the base game with some of this stuff?
No, the expansion will be the upgrade pack with these larger druids. If we print any errata for our cards, we will put in all the errata cards that we had in the expansion. We think the core game plays just fine the way it is.
Absolutely, yeah. I've got no complaints, obviously. I mean, when the new stuff comes in, I will, of course, be incorporating it into it. But yeah, I've got no complaints with the core game as it is.
Yeah, I didn't even tell you what ether does, but it's very simple. You get a reroll.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
So it gives you a bit of a lifeline, basically.
Yeah, it's a shared resource, and anyone who's rolling can say, I would like to use an ether.
Okay.
And of course, you can have as much table talk as you want. But nobody can stop you from using it if you really want it.
If you wanted to, yep. Okay.
And so, yeah, these gods have some interaction with ether. She's telling you can use her action slightly better. So let's talk about their weird actions that they have.
Yeah.
They have different actions. The biggest difference is primal lore.
Oh, wow.
Instead of explore, they look at a hex at a distance. And they can flip it over. And she, in particular, can then just jump right on top of the hex when she does it. Ragnar moves a little bit slower.
Yeah.
I think having 4 legs is better than one. The feast action is how you get threat. It takes you an action point, and then if you spend 2 salt, 2 food, 2 plunder, or 1.
That's quite costly, that then, isn't it? Yeah, to do that, but yeah.
Yes, it's a little costly, but it's worth it because you can really crush your opponents.
Yeah.
But it only takes 1 AP.
Okay, yeah.
So you could feast multiple times for the same AP. And then maybe the funnest mechanic, which we're not totally sure we're going to leave as is devour. If you've destroyed all the enemies on your hex, you can devour the hex, and it gets placed right here.
Okay.
and it creates victory points for you, just as if you'd had a haven out. So the more of the map you make into
You
your
consume.
godliness, yeah, exactly.
So if that's the case, and that obviously makes that hex space unplayable. Oh well, actually no, because it's just barren underneath it, isn't it? I suppose. Yeah. So
Nice waste.
yeah, it just becomes an ice waste. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not 100% that it's going to stay exactly that way, but we
Yep.
think the basic principle of you affect a hex very differently from a haven is accurate. Um, and yeah, so these guys have just one unit, which is also their hero,
Yep.
and they have really, really different feats. Pull some of these out here. Yeah. Might be able to read a few of these. This is her starting feat. She just steals a Bane if she gets a bolt.
Yep.
And she has lots of bolts. So she can, make those guys totally switch off. And then if you want more bolts, you can just pay salt to give yourself purple dice with her.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Ragnar works a little bit more, what's the word, grimly? He marches in, he takes a bit of damage, and then he crushes you. He's got the stone skin, which he can just ignore all damage in a round, which is quite good.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of these are a little experimental. We're shaving them out. He automatically gets the Bane of anyone he destroys. And
Okay.
So he loves a fight. And then he's got Skaga the Splitter, which we're still trying to work on. This is his magic axe, and it's going to do extra damage to either things in his space or things
Adjacent. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll probably ramp it up a little bit from here. This might still not be enough, but we need a few more playtests. So these are great for people who don't want to focus on too many economics. They just want to have one guy who walks up and kicks them in the butt, and that is what they do.
So I take it you kind of recommend that you don't, if it's your first go, your first game of, or first couple of games of Uprising, that you don't really go with these guys to start off with. You learn how the other factions work.
I don't know. I think you could actually play the Titans very easily because you don't have to keep track of any limitations or anything. You're just one unit.
Right. Okay.
I think they may even, if anything, be a little easier. To play.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, there's a sort of sweet spot between a 4X and a co-op, right?
Yeah.
And we like to think we hit it, but most 4Xers don't play too many cooperative games, but 4Xers love complexity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people who like co-op games are not that into a hugely complex bunch of stuff. Otherwise, they'd be playing 4X. And so these guys might actually be the most co-op in a way because you don't have to think too hard about them, and they have lots of ways of helping other people.
Yeah.
Yep.
But if you were to play with two of the Titans, then in terms. If you were doing a solo game, you had both of these on the board. You couldn't, I suppose. But yeah, if you, you couldn't. Could you? Could you have both of them on the board?
You could photocopy the. Photocopy the boards into the cards. That's fine. We have no problem with that. Just put them on the Xerox. Yeah, we've never tried that actually.
Okay.
That might be really fun. Would they fight with each other? Because they have kind of a history in the lore of not being huge friends.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see that. Okay, so that's those guys. We've got some new actions on there. We have Ether in there. We've got the revised, the new Druid cards in there. We've got the Mercenaries as well as new, and the new bronze, silver, and gold die. I mean, is there anything? You mentioned there's some new legions and hordes there as well, Imperial legions and Chaos hordes as well that we've not seen yet. So, is there anything else new?
There is the Banes, which is actually, I got to say, one of the parts we're most excited about.
Excellent.
It's also one of the parts that's going to make people most uncomfortable because it makes the bad guys harder.
Which, not necessarily what this game needs, but I think for those of
well, some people like a challenge, and enjoy the puzzle solving aspect. And if you like that part and you're adding in Ether and you're adding in Mercenaries and you're adding in all this other cool stuff, you might be like, well, this is going to make the game too easy. So that's why we have the Banes.
The Banes.
And I should also just take a quick break from explaining. Each one of these things could be added separately. You can play with just the Banes and nothing else. You could play with just Ether and nothing else.
Yep.
The pirates love the Mercenaries, so if there's any objection to the mercenaries being in, then they have mercenaries and no one else does. It doesn't really affect the game for other people. Same thing with the Titans. The Titans love Banes. If nobody else wants Banes, they can just draw random Banes from the bag. But we spent a lot of time on these, making them really clean and really lovely. You can see there's 13 Imperial Banes in this little bag and 13 Chaos Banes. And each of these little Banes is going to come in its own beautiful bag in the box. You can't tell from looking at the TTS board, but we've actually spent a lot of time upgrading every possible component we can. In addition to selling an expansion, we're going to have a deluxe components box,
which is great.
Wooden and metal pieces for everything.
Excellent.
Yep, and these two things, the Banes, are going to come with an embroidered bag for the Empire and a fake leather bag for Chaos, because we just love the idea of sexy bags, and it's like, why not? Let's put it in there. So yeah, we're going to maintain the same high quality that we have. We're gonna have new standees that follow the exact same pattern as the last time. We're gonna use the thickest, strongest cardboard stock and everything. Let me show you how some Banes work.
Do that.
Just draw a Legion. Let's see what happens. All right, that's the Executioner, and she has got the Shadow Inquisitor. This unit's enemy cannot use bolts.
Oh wow.
So now suddenly she just happens to have an extra ability. You'll notice there's nothing else to help the players. She's just stronger.
She's stronger, yeah.
That's it.
So that particular, is it a random Bane that comes out? Or is it,
There's 13 in the bag, so it's very hard to run out. I don't think we know of a situation when you could actually go through all 13 of them. So again, you would never have the same game unless you're really lucky. Here's another example. Let's see.
Oh,
that's perfect for him, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's got the Nether Sea Ambush, so he's going to draw another Bane, and then he's going to immediately discard this Bane, the Nether Sea Ambush, and move his standee to his target.
Wow.
So
straight away,
yeah. The Empire kind of lacked a little speed, and we had a very well balanced game, so we tried not to fiddle with it too much. But we thought, okay, we can add a little bit more speed to the Empire here. So there's going to be things like that. So if we were to get rid of that one, he would suddenly get the Veterans
against a blue die. Oh, fantastic! Just
very basic and simple. But hey, it's extra die. Let's see what another Legion gives us. Oh yeah, Master Marksman. He gets a silver die.
Oh, I mean, these are going to be, for people who are obviously more familiar with the game and understand it, and potentially may have won a couple of times. These are going to add some real kind of spanners to the spokes. These aren't they? These are fantastic.
That's well put. Yeah, it makes them much more unpredictable. You can start to count cards and be like, I predict it'll be the Bloodworm because I have a feeling about that. But then the Banes prevent you from really knowing what's going to go on. Let's see what the Hordes have.
Let's have a look at the Hordes.
Oh, hey, it's the Bloodworm. He's got the Zombies.
Oh, wow.
He takes 2 damage and ignores it.
And that is constant, basically, throughout, unless you get to dismiss that Bane in one way or another?
No, he just takes 2 damage on the Zombies. It'll be our double-sided Bane.
Yeah.
I think we have to put a little X on the side. We're still working on the best mechanics. So this Bane itself just takes 2 damage.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And, also theme zombies, Let's see, what else do we have? We have the Skeletal Archers.
Oh. So they've got, it's increasing the dice that they get, basically, depending on their threat level there, so yeah.
And they're strangely reversed, actually. They get stronger the weaker the Horde is. Just because chaos. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And she's got some... basically, the undead Orgon shield bearers make them very hard to kill in archery.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love these. These are truly punishing. And I think that, if you're, my God, if you're kind of deep into a 4-chapter game, this is going to make it very, very, you're going to have to change your strategy depending on what Banes come out.
Yeah, sometimes a Bane on a Legion or Horde makes them untouchable for some factions.
Yeah.
Like if the Druid can't get any archery, you're just begging the first player, please don't put that near me. Please don't put that near me. There's nothing I could do about that. Please don't do it. And yeah, it balances out the ether and the mercenaries for chaos and the empire, and makes the game a lot richer. And one of the things we also really like in games is elegance, and not interfering with the flow of the game. And so we tried with every component we made to not add any sideboards or any kind of like new sort of like side quests that you had to do, so that everything fits in with what you're doing already. You draw a legion, just add a Bane token. You're on reveal a druid, nope, generate some ether.
Yeah.
Sea tower, oh, there's also a mercenary there.
So I'm glad you're not adding any more sideboards, because the table real estate on the game already it's pretty significant, isn't it? So
we did add a dice tray. Have you seen our beautiful dice tray? That's a free gift to anyone who's following us now.
I will be going back on the Gamefound and having a look at that. That's for sure. Yeah. So
we love dice trays.
Yep.
And especially when you have so much stuff, you at least need one.
Yeah.
And they make these collapsible dice trays that you just button together.
Oh, the neoprene ones. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we're actually going to have a nice velvet interior, we think, because that quiets the dice a little bit and makes the game slightly more pleasant to play without too much clacking.
And I'll tell you what, it's one thing that us board gamers do like is a nice dice tray, some form of receptacle that's thematic with the game that we can throw our dice in, and yeah, absolutely, that sounds absolutely fantastic. So you say that is obviously for people that are following the campaign at the moment, yeah?
Anyone who follows the campaign before our release date will get a free dice tray. And if they want to buy more dice trays because they're going to be super classy, they're welcome to do so. But we're going to give one to everyone who's following right now.
Fantastic. So yeah, we've got the we got the new factions. We have the Titans. We have the Ether. We have the Banes. We have Mercenaries. Wow. I mean, this is a lot that's coming in this new expansion.
That's not even all of it, because we're doing some community designs with our folks who are following us on Gamefound, and we've already had a war council, which is when we vote on the different ideas that our community has had.
Okay.
And so people gave us over 20 ideas. I think we might have had 40. I have to take a look again for new items. And we're like, okay, these are great. We whittled the number down to about a dozen, and then people voted. And so now we have 4 new items that are coming in.
Wow.
One of them is the trade caravan, or the traveling merchant. Lets anyone trade with that card. So if you take a trade action, you might leave some food for somebody who might need it later.
Brilliant.
Yeah. We have a couple that people really like that make towers more powerful. And when you buy the item, you get a tower, and either the towers provide their support in adjacent hexes, or you can move units into the beacon fire of a tower, so you can defend your towers a little bit better. So it really surprised us. We were like, oh, this is the direction people want to go, and it changes the game, and suddenly towers become a really sexy kind of item.
Nice.
Like, whoa, yeah. And we're designing a new hex now.
Okay.
And then if we can get enough followers, we have unlocks every 1,000 followers. We'll design 2 new quests, which we've already unlocked because we're over 3,000.
Excellent.
And then we're going to design. What's at 4,000? It's not quests. I have to take a look. And at 5,000, we're going to unlock a new horde. It's 4 new events at 4,000. Of course, people had such good ideas for events in our Kickstarter campaign, and they really changed the tone of the game with Aether's Essence and these crowdsourced events, and it was something we always wanted to do more with, and we sort of backed away from being too crazy with the events because we thought the game would get too swingy. But then people had these great ideas, and we're hopeful we'll have more great ideas like that. So all those things will be packed into the expansion.
The expansions. And
then during the campaign, we're also going to have more of these crowdsourced unlocks.
Okay.
Because we just love the idea that it's not just a game we give people, but it's a game that everyone contributes to, and it's it's no longer just a game from some company, but it's a game that everyone contributed their ideas to.
And I think as we were discussing before we started this, is the reception has been absolutely fantastic for the game. I mean, it is I don't know of anybody that's had a negative experience playing it. Haven't you? Sure, I'm sure it doesn't fit for certain people, but nobody said anything too negative about it. It just hasn't fitted with their gaming group if they haven't liked the game. And I think that the positive reaction to the game has been absolutely astounding. And I think what I can see from what's happening with the new expansion is it's adding new features and new factions. It's not necessarily adding any new complexity to the game. Was that kind of a key driver for you?
Yeah, I think that's a key driver of everything we'd like to do in game design.
Yeah.
To make things as absolutely straightforward as possible. When we explain the game to people for the first time, they're like, "Whoa, look at all these components!" And then we point to there's only 7 actions you can take, and they're like, "What do you mean?" Like, there's only 7 actions.
Yeah.
And then usually the game gels after people play those 7 actions. And in the same way, we really wanted to keep that, right? We don't want to add any more layers. Everything should slip in. So to answer your question, yes.
Excellent. And also, in terms of obviously playing the game now, you can play it in however many, 2 or 4 chapters, or whatever you want in between, I suppose. Does new factions and the new things like Bane, does it have a greater effect at 2 chapters, or would you recommend playing with the full 4 chapters with the expansion?
I think the curve for winning the game on the hard levels means it's very hard on Nightmare or Apocalyptic to win the game in 1 or 2 chapters.
Yeah.
I would speculate, because I haven't played the Pirates in a 2-chapter game yet. I would speculate they might have the best chance of getting no victory points or all the victory points, because they could potentially send their blade ships onto numerous ice wastes.
Yep.
As for the Titans, they just eat the map as they go, and they love to get in a fight. I don't know if they're too strong at all. They feel exactly right when you play them, but boy, it feels good because you win so many fights. But then if you want to keep playing, you have to spend your victory points to give yourself more threat, and so you're always in this position where you're like, I'm going to sacrifice some victory points to go back up to 6 threat, and then I'll attack this guy who's next to you. You're welcome. I'll take those victory points. And so they're devourers, and I think will do just fine in any number and any level of game. But we haven't played on an easy or a normal game in quite a while.
Okay.
And usually on Apocalyptic level, on chapter 1 you're behind by 15 points.
Yeah.
And by chapter 2 you're behind by 25 points, and then you start to catch up in chapter 3 or 4. So I guess there's a bit more of a commitment to the amount of time you're going to spend on the game if you're playing the harder levels of the game. Yeah,
and I think that's what I like about it is that generally when I'm playing it, I will play the full 4 chapters, because if I'm going in, I'm going for broke. Basically, I'm devoting a few hours to playing Uprising now. I'm not the greatest player in the world, and I've maybe only won 2 or 3 times in all the times I've played it. But adding this new stuff in and providing this new level of challenge and things like devouring part of the map, I'm really enjoying what this is sounding like. It's changing the game in it's changing my strategy in the game in a more positive way, if you like. And I think that's really, really important. So I think, one of the questions that people want to know about this is that Uprising itself, once it the original campaign, once it finished, it didn't have any major delays in delivering, did it? Did you deliver within about 12 months of the close of the campaign?
We were, I think. Let's see. We managed to get our first packages delivered in December. And we had planned for August, so that's September, October, November. We were 4 months delayed.
Okay.
So we were really sure. We were really, really sure we were going to get our products to people on time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the Blessings of the Old Gods Save the Uprising campaign, where we were asking for help. Because that was a major gut punch to us.
Of course, yeah.
Suddenly shipping went up through the roof. And it was also really hard to get space on a ship.
Yeah.
So we were a little, we were very proud of ourselves. Like, we did all of our homework. We, planned everything out. So we're going to deliver on time. Like, reality had a different plan for
Yeah,
us.
but the community got behind you, and I think that was really, really important there, wasn't it? As well as the
It was
community
amazing, Mark.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I can be a little bit cynical sometimes, especially about the internet, but I've never seen a more lovely and generous group of people than
sure,
our community. We all have a common interest, and that's the thing that like puts all together. But that doesn't mean people have to be generous or nice. But people
yeah,
are very generous and very
yeah.
nice, and we were so happy because we had these blessings cards and we're like, where do these fit in? And then suddenly we're like, we're going to be bankrupt. And they're like, I know where these fit in. So we were able to provide those to people. And actually, people have just started getting them in the mail.
Okay.
Because I had them delivered to me personally in my house, and I had many of my friends sit down and I would feed them nice food and give them beer, and then I would point a whip at them and say, begin stuffing envelopes.
Envelopes, there we go. Yes.
And they finished just about a week or two ago.
Fantastic.
And then I've been stamping them. And they're all going to be out by the end of the week.
That's great.
So in terms of delivery time, we are close to hitting our mark.
Okay.
And we are absolutely sure this next time none of those problems will happen. We will definitely hit our mark. There's going to be no issues at all.
So
we're going to be totally on time.
And what is the kind of projected? Obviously this video is going live as the campaign launches, but so I don't know the details yet, obviously. But are you looking to deliver within about 12 months again, or a little bit longer than that? Are you giving us
exactly?
Yeah.
Yep. We would like to underpromise and overdeliver.
Yeah.
So we think 12 months is more than reasonable for us. We're also a lot better at game production than we were before. We dodged a lot of the pitfalls that I think new companies fall into, but then unexpected ones popped up. VAT law changed in the middle of our campaign, which was a real surprise. So we've been dealing with like all that fallout, but now we're not going to make those mistakes, and I think we'll have less than half of the last set.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I suppose this feels still, although there's loads of content already, even with the base game and the expansions that came out in the original Kickstarter, now you're giving us more content, but it still feels that you're maybe just scratching the surface of what you can do with Uprising. And it's you don't have to say right now, are there plans for more as well?
God, that's such a tempting question, Mark. You should work for like Frontline or BBC. Well, we have a few different ideas, and yeah, I won't be too coy, and I won't be too forward. We know that there's a lot of like depth in some of the components here. Like we're designing hexes with people right now, and when we've designed hordes with people right now, or in the last campaign, it's been a real surprise to us. What pops out. And do we even have a little? Oh yeah, here's a copy of the Shapeshifter. The Shapeshifter was actually a crowdsource from one of our community members, and it was just a really good idea. And we're like, we have to develop this. So first off, as long as people are interested in the game and are popping up good ideas, we're going to find a way to integrate them into the game.
Excellent.
And so I think there definitely is more to come with our community of rebels.
And I think, it doesn't, I suppose, in the way that it goes these days with a lot of games and a lot of IPs, it doesn't just, you've created a world now. You've created to coin a Marvel phrase, you've created a universe here, which I suppose the possibilities are endless in terms of what you can do from this.
And yeah, I'd say that like leads to, another big part, which is what do people have an appetite for? We have a lot of lore sitting around, and for my part, I view Games Workshop as a golden standard. A little conflicted in the rules, and sometimes people might say this costs too much, but when you pick up a Games Workshop book about whatever faction, you're like, I want to read it front to back. If we could get to anywhere near their level, we would be so pleased with ourselves. And they, I don't want to say that they're the only model for a company, but there's people who work within their own world, and there's companies that move and do a bunch of different games. I think as a company, we really like the world and we really like the lore.
Yeah.
And we're a very small company. It's me and Dirk and Pavel. And we have Bartek and Igor, the artists.
Yeah.
Um, and we don't have a huge amount of bandwidth to think of like totally new stuff.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do in the future will almost certainly live in the
In
same
this
world.
world.
And we've had a few ideas for different types of game.
Yeah.
And the main idea we have is actually really, really cool. And I don't want to like, tip the
No.
the porridge over quite yet. But we have some innovative mechanics which we think will be just as interesting as this.
Excellent.
But it's going to take us a while to play test.
Yeah.
So,
and I think the closest comparison I see with Uprising, and it really is comparing you very favourably, is with something like Too Many Bones from Chip Theory Games, where you've got the base game, and then things just kind of move out from there because people enjoy this adventure and this lore so much, and that's what I really like about what you're doing with the new expansion. Is it's more. But it's not more in terms of just adding complexity. It's more kind of giving people more to explore within the lore and within the world of Uprising.
better to go deeper than broader here. If we go broader, we will offer an all new type of game.
Yeah.
And we may or may not have several years worth of lore and plot written. I'm not saying we definitely do, but you might find it if you looked in some of our notebooks. So if people enjoy being in this world, I think we have plenty of energy and plenty of stuff to give them.
And of course, people will ask because, the original Uprising box is pretty big, and then the expansion box is pretty big, and then we have new expansion stuff coming out. Man, people are going to want an all-in-one storage solution from you as well. Have you guys thought about that?
Man, okay, that's been a real head scratcher for us because we tried to find a way to do it. But it is a brick, you pick up Uprising and the expansions, and the paper boxes that we've been able to build are just not strong enough.
Yeah.
So we're still working on that. For me, it's a dream. Here's a little like inside baseball. Our factory, which these guys are great to work with, they're like, well, how could we work with you? Could we get you a wooden box? And I was like, you mean like a treasure chest? And they were like, yes, like a treasure chest. And I was like, show me your treasure chest. And they showed me the treasure chest. And I was like, well, that's a really cool treasure chest. And then we tried to figure out how many people would want a big treasure chest for Uprising and what they would pay. And we thought maybe this isn't a practical solution.
Yeah.
But we actually went as far as finding a treasure chest with rivets and wood and everything.
So yeah, I'm without kind of pushing you into a corner here, I'm really interested in seeing what happens with this game. And I mentioned the all-in-one storage solution as partly in jest because I think that as you say, the game is fairly large as it is in terms of what's already out there, and adding more to it is going to make an impractical all-in-one storage solution. But I am very interested in seeing kind of where this goes next. Not just next. I mean, I think I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit there. The key thing here is this new expansion looks like it adds so much more to the game. And as you say, you can dip in and dip out with various parts of this. You can use the Banes on the existing if you want. You can use the new factions. You can use the new hordes, etc. The Ether with the existing model, with the existing game, or without. Yeah.
Exactly. There's nothing you must add, and there's nothing that requires anything else.
Yeah.
And here's just a whole bunch of these different Banes to give you a sense of like how these guys might work, right?
Yeah.
This just changes the nature of the Empire, and they have different Banes than Chaos does, and they have pretty uniquely different things that just do different stuff, and then they sort of push these guys in different directions. If you want to play these cool new factions, like this here Gambler Avon, he was one of my all-time favorite characters in a D&D game, and so I had to recreate him here because I loved Avon. Anyone who played with me when I was playing Avon, I'm sorry for everything. And this is a bit more of a war gamey faction. You can move around really fast. You're not so worried about territory. You're more worried about like getting your attacks on, and then these here Titans are like big bruisers. You could just go in and crush things over and over. And if you don't mind rolling the dice a little bit, you can have all kinds of fun. And they have these totally different like feat selection, and they interact with the Banes. And if you don't want to have Banes on your guys, but you don't want to play with these guys, you just put the Bane bags to the side. And whenever you would normally gain a Bane, you just pull one out.
Right.
So it's very dynamic. I think the thing everyone will want to have is ether.
Yeah.
It's great. Usually you make 1 or 2 ether per chapter.
Yeah.
But if you're really behind, you can make 4.
Okay.
And then whether it's a quest or an arch nemesis roll with
Yeah.
the omens, or a really important combat round, it's just great to have one thing that lets you not have that horrible thing happen
to you. And I think, when you look at the game itself, one of the key things that you need to do in the game is to try to get your havens out maybe 1 per round, basically, at least 1 per round, and try and maintain those havens. And that's quite an important thing. When I've been playing the game, that's a strategy I try to do every time. It doesn't always work, of course. It doesn't always happen for me, and sometimes my havens get lost. But would you say that kind of producing ether is almost as important now as producing havens?
No, I wouldn't say so. That's a good, that's an interesting comparison. Yeah, well, like production of resources, production of victory points. Nothing's more important than havens.
Yeah.
For the factions that we've had now, but these the Titans have no havens except themselves.
Yeah.
And the pirates have blade ships, which are mobile havens, and
Yeah.
those are actually they're a little delicate, but they do a lot of damage. Ether, I would say, won't win you the game, but it will unlose you the game. So the importance of having ether is about not feeling quite so like trashed by the dice. And
Yeah.
I mean, I think you said it to me before, Mark. You're not always rolling the best dice.
No.
I feel it like sometimes you get all blanks, and especially on red dice. Like,
Yeah.
red dice should be great, and they're always blank. I could pull 5 blanks on 4 red dice, and at least with ether, you know that you did it to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. The number of times I've gone into combat very, very confident and then kind of walked away with my tail between my legs, basically, is it means that sometimes the dice truly hate me. And that's one of the things I love about the game. It's not for, that thing isn't for everybody, but I love an element of luck in my game and the unknown in my game, if you like, or randomness. And that's what I like about the dice in this. But having that ether there does give me a little bit of hope.
Mm-hmm. And then you end up in an economy of, ooh, is it worth spending it now? You don't want to end up with it at the end of the game. And and then somebody says, but I might need it. And it's a little bit more chance for some table talk and negotiation and probability. It's true what you say about luck. If you don't have luck in some way in a game, it becomes a bit more like chess, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I mean, chess is certainly one of the world's greatest games, but it's mentally exhausting.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to be able to like say, well, I might not win, but I'm just going to roll those dice anyway.
Yes.
And it's so strange to think that something so abstract as dice also is a bit like real life, because, you want to hear God laugh? Tell him your plans. Something weird always happens, whatever it is you think you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think the dice kind of cover that in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have had dice, or we could have had cards, or we could have pulled pebbles out of a bag.
Yeah.
But some form of unpredictability means that you have to have layered plans.
Yeah. And I think that adds it certainly adds a different dynamic. I've played 4X games where it's purely deterministic in terms of combat. Before going in, obviously, exactly how it's going to go out, and that becomes part of the strategy. You play very different that way. With this, it adds my favourite elements, this kind of randomness, this element of luck, this, just like you say, life does not operate in a straight line. We all have best laid plans, and they all go awry. And as happened with you guys with the shipping, etc. last year. And, that somebody rolled bad dice for you there, and that's okay. And that's exactly how it's replicated in the game, and it's one of my favourite mechanics in the game.
Thank you.
As much as they hate me, I love the dice in this game.
I'm with you. I'm totally on your side. I'm no fan of dice, but the dice here are quite interesting. There's just enough dice, and there's a little bit of mitigation.
Excellent. Look, this looks absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait to. It's a shame, obviously, that my TTS was playing up, and therefore only threw up some blank hexes, etc. for me. I'm really looking forward to kind of incorporating this into the game, to really seeing how it changes the dynamics in the game, playing around with the factions in such a way and finding out the ideal combinations, etc., which is never going to truly win you the game, because you don't know what hordes and legions are going to come out there. But yeah, this looks an absolutely fantastic addition to Uprising. So, how long's the campaign running for?
We're thinking of doing a nice compact campaign of 2 weeks.
Okay.
We haven't decided totally yet. We're moving to Gamefound. We like Kickstarter very well, but Gamefound also offers a whole lot of features on their own website and back end that just sort of make it a lot easier to use. And there's a different audience, so we can reach some different people that we didn't reach before. And we think 2 weeks is an appropriate amount of time.
Okay. And people will be able to pledge for not just the expansion stuff, but also be able to kind of, if they've not entered the Uprising world before, will be able to get the base game and the original expansions, I take it?
Of course, yeah. We're going to reprint everything we had. If there's maybe one or two little fixes we had, we're going to try and make the box a little stronger so that people don't get broken boxes. We might tweak a couple things here or there, but otherwise everything will be exactly the same. If we have some errata, we'll provide that in the expansion, and people could buy just the expansion or just the core box or any of the other stuff. And we have some more add-ons too. We've got the dice tray. We're currently doing a crowdsourced Allies of Azul card pack. One of the things that we'd heard was we want more player interaction.
Okay.
It's not even here because we haven't quite finished it. We're going to have a card pack that's going to very likely give a unique feat to each of the heroes that's going to give them a way of interacting with the rest of the other players. And that's being done on Discord in the Rebel Nest, which is a place where you can get a lot of up-to-date information. So what's happening there.
So I think this is key, for the people that are watching this video as the campaign launches, the community is really strong behind this, and as part of the community, they can also help shape what is happening with some of the cards or hexes or characters on there as well. And I think that's really, really important. The more people that are involved in this, the more it gets unlocked for us. And as Uprising fans, we're only going to be pleased by that outcome. So, if you're watching this video and the campaign is live now, then please just really get involved in the campaign.
Please do, yeah. Bring all your friends on board. We love having new ideas, and even if somebody just wants to buy the dice tray, we would be very happy to send you guys one because it's going to be really, really nice looking. And we're going to have, I guess I shouldn't spoil it, but we're going to have really good pricing tiers on the campaign, and everyone can just click directly on it and see what's there.
Fantastic. And I think this option of Deluxifying of providing upgraded components. Is great as well. I will be straight there to move away from my cardboard salt and my cardboard food and plunder to get some wonderful wooden components and really kind of expose the game for what it is, which is just this glorious beast on a table, a deep thinky strategy game that ultimately has nails down 100% the fun factor. I never get tired of playing Uprising.
Mark, you get this game, and we're so happy to have you on our side. It's such a pleasure to hear you talk about it and to show you off all these cool things that we've made. Thank you for coming and taking a look with us and sharing it with your fans.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to see this. Can't wait to get my hands on it. So Cornelius, Dirk, who's been there in the background, and also Powell, thank you very much for creating what is an utterly wonderful, wonderful game. So, guys, thank you very much, Not Board Gamers. You've seen it here. You've seen what is to expect in the expansion. By the time you watch this video, the full campaign will be out there. You will see absolutely everything in all its glory, and hopefully, there will be a TTS playthrough from somebody whose TTS is working correctly as well, so you get to see the game in action there. So thank you very much for joining me on this really special episode of Not Board Gaming. Go and check out Uprising, the new campaign. Cornelius, I've already forgotten the name. Titans. Go on.
Titans of the First Age, you can find it on bit.ly/uprising-2.
There we go. Titans of the First Age. Thank you very much, Cornelius. Thank you, everybody. And check out the campaign.